We got our cigars.
We have our
We
cigars.
got our coffee.
This is a good morning.
This is a good morning. We have Rocko Wheeler.
Hello.
And we have your guitar. That is a beautiful Gibson, by the way. I have been thinking a lot about. So I play guitar. I sing a little bit. I'm not anything to write home about, but I do dabble around, and I've had nice guitars in the past. I had this homemade one that my friend made it's not homemade like shitty homemade. Like he makes guitars. It's a kind of a small brand in Minnesota called Nelson Guitars. They're amazing. Had one of those for years. While I had that one, I also had this really nice Taylor 7 or 8 series something. They play nice. I'm not into like the Taylor fanaticism, that a lot of people get into. But it was a nice guitar. It's an enjoyable guitar. Then when we moved away from Seattle to move here, and we sold everything, I sold my guitars too, and I haven't rebought a guitar. And I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace and stuff for guitars because I need a guitar.
You probably feel musically naked.
Very much so. My brothers got me. They heard me talking about it. They got me a little ukulele.
Okay.
So I'm like messing around on that, but it's not a guitar.
You got to have a 6-string just sitting in the corner.
I agree. As we do.
It's the natural elixir of parties, campfires, and alone time. Even.
Yeah.
That's where songs come from.
So music you may have missed, friends. Rocko Wheeler, my good friend, and the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that music you may have missed belongs to you. Like you gave me that name. How generous of you.
Yeah. It for the cool percentage of 15% of anything that the show yields.
That's right.
No, we were sitting on my driveway having cigars. And you told me about this idea to bring a podcast that sort of features music that might have slipped through or that people haven't heard of. And I said, I think I said something like music you might have missed. And you cleaned it up. You gave it a little English.
A little sophistication.
Music you may have missed.
But you're just so generous. You said, I've got the name for your show. And usually when somebody said, well, I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of things that I'm running and making. And people quite often come to me and say, I have an idea for your thing, X, Y, or Z. 90% of the time, I don't take them because they're shitty. It is not in line with what I want to do. So I receive it and I hear it, and I don't ever agree to it with them. I don't ever give them a hint that I'm going to use it, but I say, I'll think about that. I want to be nice, right? I'm a nice guy.
Sure. That's just your thoughts. Your unfiltered thoughts are horrible idea. Outwardly, you're saying, Thank you so much,
just a
friend.
nice
That's
person
great
for
idea.
thinking of me for their idea. Totally. I feel that. I affirm that. Anyway, when you said that, I don't even think that I thought that with you, because I trust you. You're a cool dude. You're a cool cat. Nobody says that anymore. Sorry. We'll cut that. No, we won't. But
Cool Cats
Cool
podcast.
Cats. What is that? Carol Baskin from Tiger King. Have you watched Tiger King?
Yes.
She always starts her webcam things with, Hey,
Hey,
all you
kitties.
cool cats and kittens out there.
Yeah.
No, so if Carol Baskin says it, I don't want to say it because she murdered her husband. Right. You know that, right? Anyway, when you said that, you said music you may have missed. I was just like, that's the whole heart of the show. Is there are so many artists out there kicking ass, taking names every single day, putting in the work, and in the grand scheme of history, barely anyone's ever heard of them. Nobody knows about their stuff. And these very, very mega famous people, right, that are making, 1 million, 10 million, 50, 75, 100 million a year, right? Like, they're good, but there's nothing special about them. Their songwriting, it's all, like, I could find 1,000 songwriters. And so I just wanted to show, not to dog on the Taylor Swifts of the world or the Justin Biebers. Like, they can go do their thing. Good on them for figuring out how to make truckloads of money doing it. But that's not it. People stop there so much because we're so easily pleased, and we hear the radio and it's like, oh, that's what I should be listening to. And it's like, nah, like, turn off the radio for a second.
Yeah.
Ask around with your friends. See what's going on in your community around you.
It's just so noisy out there with a lot of... There's so much stuff. And so, naturally, I think great movies, great books, great artists slip through the crack. And I think it's great that you've dedicated a whole podcast to kind of reaching out and finding some folks that might be worth talking to. And I'm honored to be here with you.
Guest number
this
3.
morning. Guest number 3.
Technically, guest number 2. No, technically guest number 3, but actually guest number 2 because we did first show with Joey Bradshaw, good friend of ours, amazing artist.
Love Joey.
We did it on IG Live. It was less than ideal. It did not really bring you all of who Joey Bradshaw is. So I think I just texted him yesterday. I said, dude, we're going to do you again in July. We're going to do a proper show. Great audio. Now that we figured out what we're doing or kind of what we're doing, we're going to do another show and you get to be highlighted against people who can actually hear. We won't even put it online. We won't put your first show online. Like, it just wasn't ideal,
You are in the artistic new days. Why not? It's 9:00 in the morning. It's a great time for a cigar.
Listen, everybody out there, growing up, I'm a kid of the 80s, a child of the 80s. I would always see these old people doing 2 things. Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee.
Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee.
And they were singing that song, too.
All night long.
But I always saw that and I was like, how is that hot, right? Like you're smoking something and drinking coffee. Like, how is that even good? And this was before I found out my love for coffee as a child and my love for cigars as a sort of child. But this is the best pairing, y'all. Like, fine, give me some whiskey, give me a beer, give me some wine with a cigar. That's fine and that'll work. There's no better combo than coffee. It just wins every time.
I find that this combination makes you feel erudite and well-versed. Like there's a million ideas going on at once.
My best thinking, my best dreaming, my best conversations, always over a smoke. Always. I shouldn't say always because I don't smoke with my wife all the time. We're having good conversations. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think there's something about tobacco, especially cigars and pipes. I don't get that same feeling. I just feel like a schmuck when I smoke cigars, smoke cigarettes. Like that's not sophisticated at all. But cigars, pipes, it's where it's at.
I think it was Larry David who famously said, cigarettes are in a hurry.
Yep.
Cigars are slowed down. There's a big difference in hurry up and slow down.
My longest stint on the road as a musician, well, I was on the crew. I was a tour manager for a big hip-hop tour. And, we had the buses and the trucks and all that. And I did not smoke one cigar that entire tour. You know what I did?
What'd you do?
I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day because it was so on the move. It was so, they're 5 minutes, quick 5-minute smokes. And then
they're just not as profound, are they? It's not a profound activity. This cigarette.
So give us the Rocko Wheeler highlights before you play your first song, because I know the people want to hear songs.
Great.
Give us the highlights, and then we'll dig into your story and your songwriting and all that stuff in a minute. But what are the highlights? Who is Rocko Wheeler?
Well, hello everybody. It is great to be here. I have been writing songs for a number of years. Under this moniker Rocko Wheeler. I was born Aaron in East Texas to Southern Baptist minister, and when I moved to Los Angeles, there's an entire roundabout story, but when I moved to Los Angeles, I was working on character songs, and I had tracked I had written a screenplay that didn't end up getting finished. And yet I had songs that had been written during that time as well. And one of the characters in that screenplay was Rocko. And I kind of adopted those songs. And so this was probably about 2013 that I began writing and playing in Los Angeles in Southern California. And all of the history of growing up in Texas and issues of faith and philosophy and all the things I was experiencing, kind of living the Kerouacian life on the road, came up. And so really from 2013 on, I've had a crazy adventure of just triangulating between Texas, Nashville, Southern California and back again and back again. And here I am now, sitting with you during the end of quarantine, hopefully, here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I've just finished 2 full albums, and it's been kind of a creative hibernation time for the past year. And as soon as this thing lifts, I have a lot of music to share.
Y'all are sleeping on Rocko Wheeler. I'm just telling you that. Like, now I've told Rocko, last conversation we had was about how he needs to become a little bit more of a social media. In a moment of whiskey and cigars, said he needs to become a little bit more of a social media whore. But that's probably maybe a maven, maybe like just because he's kind of hiding out, not intentionally, just very creative, trying to figure shit out. Right? That's all noble. But like, y'all are sleeping because you're not seeing him all the time. You know, come up on your social media feed and whatever. You don't think about Rocko Wheeler, and you need to, because it's incredible.
Well, I do need to. I'm looking forward to the day that these songs are released and I'm able to get back out there and connect with people. I unplugged for about a year. It's been a little less than a year where I've been completely off of the internet, which has proven to be a very industrious, active time creatively. Mm-hmm. And I think there probably is some sort of medium ground where I can return and get connected with people again. And I look forward to that day. I look forward to it as well.
You want to play a song for us? Let's start. People are clamoring for a song.
They're waiting.
And because this is the first one we're doing in my danky old shed, I'm going to walk around, check the camera, which is an iPhone, friends. We're like high tech here. I'm going to check the camera, make sure everything's going, so that we don't get through the whole show and realize that we were not recording.
That's a good idea.
So I'm going to walk over here. Oh yeah, still looks good.
We're looking good.
Still looks good.
All right. Well, in the spirit of autobiography, here's a little song called Texas. If you want to go back to Texas, well, son, there's a few things you should learn. Someone is keeping score and knocking at your door, but the way back to heaven ain't so straight. Mama's in the kitchen and daddy's losing hearing. Sisters raising children out on the range. They say there's money in the soil, and Uncle Mark works in oil, but me and cousin Matthew moved away. Yes, sir, I want to go back to Texas, but there's a few things I should say. I might be cursed, I might be blessed, I can't stay out of the mess, 'cause the way back to heaven ain't so straight. Mama's in the kitchen, Daddy's My sister's raising children, so many children on the range, and it feels so strange. Money in the soil. Uncle Mark, he works in oil. But me and cousin Matthew, we moved away out to LA, and we changed our names when half insane. But yes, sir, I wanna go back to Texas, but the way back to heaven ain't so straight. No, the way back to heaven ain't so straight.
I feel like I started this show just to get front row concerts at, some really great music. Like, that's fucking fantastic.
Thank you.
It's really great. I've always liked the kind of, and don't hear simple as a bad thing, like the simplicity of what you're doing. It's very pure. There's no frills around it. I mean, you can't hide when you're playing softly on a guitar, right? You're not pounding on it to cover up anything that's going on. It's so simple. It just feels so like pure. And again, you can't hide it. Like, you can hear everything that's going on in your voice. Like, it's kind of the full package.
The longer I've been writing songs, the more I find it to be the challenge to write something that sounds pure, that sounds simple, but is emotionally effective and tells the story. And so I take the simplicity as a compliment.
Yeah, you should. It's rare. I mean, if you think about what is, I shit on popular music a little while ago, but like, if you think about what's popular right now, there's so much covering it up. Filters and pedals and all these things that make you sound amazing. And what I love about this, so my favorite genre of music is classical music. I listen to it every single day. I've been listening to it every single day for decades. Like, I love classical music. The reason I love classical music, one of the reasons I love it is because obviously it's more complicated. It's bigger than this, but you cannot hide anything that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it is pure. You're not distorting anything with a pedal. You're not adding reverb. You're not doing anything. It is what it is. If the second violinist is off, you will hear it. You will hear it right away. That conductor, you will hear them like look around. They know exactly where it is, right? And so I just love music that is it just feels very pure. Nothing covering it up. When you go back home, do they call you Aaron, or have they succumbed to Rocko?
They're the only people who call me Aaron are my parents.
Okay.
And a couple of really old friends.
No, you're good. I just want to.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, a few people knew me from the early days, but most people I met through this sort of Rocko project.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of
We met during this Rocko project, and I didn't have an idea that your name was Aaron until just now.
Yeah.
We know each other.
It might be a fascinating reflection of identity and, what does it mean to take on a stage name or a new name? There can be some power to it.
Yeah.
To realign yourself a little bit. I don't like throw away my old name. I'm not.
Well, that's what I was going to ask was like, Rocko is pretty distinct. Aaron's pretty run of the mill. It's a cool name, but there's a lot of Aarons.
Don't tell my mother that.
I know a lot of Aarons. You're the only Rocko I know, other than what's that cartoon on Nickelodeon? Is it Rocko's Modern Life? Yeah, that's the only other time I've ever heard someone called Rocko, and that was a made up.
There's Italian
cartoon.
Roccos with two C's.
Yep.
And there's Rocko's Modern Life.
Yep.
CK.
Yep. And you modeled it after Rocko's Modern Life, I guess.
I suppose so.
But like, yeah, I was gonna ask if you, because I have other musician friends, and I won't say their names because they would prefer not to, but they have taken on a new identity, and they have even asked all of their family and friends and everybody to like call them this new thing based on they had other music projects going on in a past life that they didn't want to be identified with. In fact, I have 3 friends right now that do not want their actual name to get out there.
See, this can be kind of an embarrassing topic. I find that like when people find out that you're using a stage name, there's almost this.
You feel fooled.
They want to poke at it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think Enneagram is a really popular buzz topic right now. But I think for anyone in the artist camp, this question of in the 4s, if you will, this artist identity, this identity question comes up constantly, and I think songwriters and artists have this intuition to sort of shed a skin, put on a new coat. You know, there's this constant, I think, desire to rebirth, to die and rebirth. It's also a very religious thing too, isn't it? If you've grown up in the church, you're constantly told to die to yourself and be reborn. So I think it's spiritual. I think it's creative. It's mythological.
Agreed.
And it's not just for some sort of aesthetic purpose of changing your name. I think when you would adopt a character, or you're playing a role, it changes how you talk. It changes the way you breathe, the way you walk. And something else may come out of you creatively than if you were your given name. Woody Allen, Elton John, Bob Dylan.
There's a lot of them.
These are all fake names.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. When you think there's some of them, and then you find out how many artists use different names.
You're Nick Laparra now, kid. Dude, say goodbye to Reginald.
Reginald. Oh, I would definitely change
You're
my
going
name.
to be huge. We're going to put your name in the lights.
That's right. If my name was Reginald, I would change my name. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad, for not calling me Reginald. I actually like Nicholas. My spelling is Nicolas. It's the Spanish spelling of it, and I'm Hispanic. And, well, part Hispanic. I'm Hispanic Italian, so a good little mix. But, yeah, I do like that I have a common name. I think it's a strong name, but it's also spelled very rarely. Not Nich, not Nickolas. It's Nicolas. I've only met a few. The only one that I'm not so proud to be associated with is Nicolas Cage, because that dude sucks.
I love Nick Cage.
Do you?
I have actually, during quarantine, had... This is a little tangential here, but I love Nick Cage. I will defend.
I like
Nick
Con
Cage.
Air.
See, I like...
Con Air's a good film.
I'm going to do a podcast, Nick Cage movies you may have missed.
Nick Cage movies you may have missed. There's like... You'll have lots of episodes. That dude has done a bajillion movies.
He's had some great ones. Color Out of Space, Mandy, The Weatherman.
Maybe I have not watched enough of them. Maybe. Because the 3 that you just mentioned, haven't seen them.
It's certainly like rooting through the free bin at Goodwill. You gotta get dirty and reach down to find that.
You gotta get some coronavirus all over your hands.
You gotta get a little
to find the one good one. No, I get it. I will give him another chance for your sake.
Great.
Let's play another song.
Let's do another song.
What do you got for us?
I'm gonna keep rolling. Here's a new one that I wrote during quarantine. It's another kind of... it's called Yippee-Ki-Yay. I'll just let the song do the talking.
Wait, do you also say motherfucker in it, like Bruce Willis? Is this based on the movie Die Hard?
I've never put a motherfucker in one of my songs.
Okay. Maybe it's time.
Maybe it's
just kidding. Go with your song, Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay. I was born in Houston. I fell off the horse in L.A. The wagon landed in Nashville. Oh, honky-tonk US of A. The fiddles are playing with a steel guitar. I'm talking with sweet Sally Mae. She whispers in my ear, let's get out of here, my mind is already made. I'm singing yo, 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 yippee-ki-yay. Yo, 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 I ain't gonna stay. We made love in the desert. We made love in Playa del Rey. Outside is alright, look left and look right. No one is walking this way. But I've walked away from my lovers. I've left them at roadside cafes. I kissed them in Studio City, and I drove away out of LA. I'm singing yo, 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 yippee-ki-yay. I'm singing yo, 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 I ain't gonna stay. Singing yo, 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 yippee-ki-yay. Yo, 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 I ain't gonna stay. Well, I've rambled all around this country, a stranger without a home. 10,000 miles and 10,000 trials, my name is the song in my throat. And it travels from my mouth to your ears, from your ears to your heart to your soul. And just to remind you, I'm right beside you, singing through your old radio. I'm singing yo, 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 yippee-ki-yay. I'm singing yo, 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 I ain't gonna stay. I'm singing yo, 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 yippee-ki-yay. Yo, 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 I ain't gonna stay.
Fantastic.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay. Your songs, do you have stories attached to all of them, some of them? I know that song, and even the first one, was part, it had biography in it, it had geography in it. But are they coming from, do you remember, like, where, are you the kind of songwriter that remembers where you wrote it and why? Or did some of them just come to you, and you're like, I got to write about this, I don't know why, and then it just, like, flows out? Or is it deeply attached to a story?
I typically do remember where I am and when it came, because for me a song kind of floats by. It presents itself.
You either grab it or you don't.
And you grab it or you don't.
Yeah.
And you've really got a limited window to get it. And I'm sure as an idea man, you might feel the same way. And so, of course, the temptation, I think, is like, oh, that's nice. I'll catch that one. I'll remember that tomorrow. And that's just never the case.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah, a lot of these songs they'll be kind of gifted down, and you better be ready with a pen and paper, or a typewriter, and jot it down. And these are very narrative based. And so I hope the stories do take the listener somewhere as well, because they certainly took me down a road.
I can't help but think that everybody watching or listening is going to, when you sing, especially those first two songs, Texas and Oil Rigs and Mom in the Kitchen and all these things, all of them were transported somewhere. I mean, I felt like, I had Wranglers on, cowboy hat. Like I was just envisioning Texas, right? I've been to Texas a bajillion times. I like to visit, would never live. Would never live. But I like it. And I have very good memories associated with it. So you sing these songs about Texas and Yippee-Ki-Yay, like I feel it. Like I'm transported there.
It's just as much a state of mind as it is a physical kind of a place. Maybe more so a state of mind.
There aren't too many places where that happens. Texas is one of them. California is another one. You think of California, somebody starts thinking about California, you're thinking surf, you're thinking palm trees, you're thinking Hollywood, all those things. Yeah. New York, like there's places where you start describing it and you're transported there. Maybe that's everywhere. Maybe I'm being a little bit ignorant. Maybe if somebody was talking about Iowa or Nebraska, like, yeah, there's I don't know, there's cornfields, there's cows, there's farms, there's people, there's working class people. Like maybe that happens everywhere. I don't know.
Through the right eyes, through the right poet, I'm sure there's a dimension of unusual places that you just never would have had access to had somebody not written it down like that.
And you're very right about the ideas. Like I ask my lovely wife how many times she has woken up at all hours of the night. I know I'm over there laying on my back, typing on my phone because I get these ideas. When I lay my head down to rest every night, somewhere between 11 and 1 a.m., all of a sudden, my brain is on fire. Like I am ready to go. So for the first 30 minutes of me going to sleep, I'm back and forth on my phone. I just had all these ideas flood. So I open a note every night and I start writing in it. And the next day, some of those apply still and some don't. Some are just like throwaway, but it was like I got it. Whether it's a few words, one word, something I need to move on the next day, like, yeah, they just come. And you're very right. If I was to say, oh, I'll remember that in the morning, it's so important. I'll remember it. It's gone. It literally cannot recall it, bring it to mind. It is totally gone. So there is something, about like feeling it. And it literally is floating by. You either get to grab it or not.
The poet Billy Collins calls that lines lost among trees. He goes for walks, doesn't bring a pencil, and it's gone. They just sort of float away.
And he's okay with that? Does he talk about that in the poem?
I think he was expressing just that idea of that's how quickly it can be gone. Like a city of pencil erased or something like that.
For years, I carried, now more in a digital age, and I kind of mourn not carrying around an actual notebook in my pocket anymore. But for literally 10, 12 years, I carried around a Moleskine notebook in my pocket and my favorite pen. Literally, I was that weird guy with a pen hanging on, in the inside of his like pocket. And I would write down everything because I didn't want to lose it. I've spent time in 30-ish countries, and every time I go, I have notebooks. I don't own a lot of things, but I've kept until now. I'm thinking about getting rid of them because I don't like stuff. But up till now, I've kept these notebooks, and these notebooks are, when I spent 6 weeks in Zambia, Africa, I've got a huge notebook where I jotted down everything I bought, everywhere I went. I time-stamped it. Like if I was to buy a coffee at this like coffee shop, or if I went on this like whatever it was, I have it all jotted down so I can go back 14 years later, look through this notebook from my 6 weeks in Zambia, and I can remember, oh, we bought a pizza here.
Do you find that to be useful? Because like I have a couple of boxes worth of journals, diaries, letters that I've written myself, or like it. So I never go back to. It's useful like in the moment for me. Like I'm obviously working something out every day that I'm journaling.
It's precisely why I said like I'm toying with getting rid of them, starting a good camp, bonfire and getting rid of them. But then I look at all of these like people from times past where they were able to write better bodies of work because they had more documentation. And we are not now social media and the internet documents us on our behalf without our permission. But like, we don't have that documentation of everything. So say we want to write about say I write a memoir at some point. I hope to. I don't expect anybody to read it, but I want to write it for my own sake. Like, if I don't have those kinds of things, am I going to be able to have good recall about what happened during those times, right? Or am I going to be like thinking that that's what happened, but it was actually something else, and I might not serve that moment well, whether it looks bad on somebody or looks bad on me, when really something totally different happened. I don't know.
I'm perfectly comfortable looking back through the distortion of memory.
That's fair.
I think I heard some memoirists talk about that his reflections had deformed into certainty, something like that.
Interesting.
That it is really difficult to capture the past and to remember it with any accuracy. I mean, reality is we could journal about this morning together, and we will have two different perspectives on it.
True.
I'll say the coffee was hot. Nick and I had a very pleasant time. I think he likes me. You might walk away.
No question there. No question there. No, it's true. I think there's a give and take there, and maybe it's a values thing, or maybe it doesn't matter at all later on. I don't know. Like, okay, I'm referencing all of these like former writers and thinkers that were able to have this like massive amount of recall. Yeah. Like, does that matter though?
Well,
I don't know.
It's kind of like, sort of like hoarding. It gets to a point where you're just hoarding too many thoughts.
Which is, yeah.
And it's going to weigh you down.
Yeah.
That you might write something much more pure or simple through, I bet it would be liberating if I burned all of my journals.
Let's do it. You want to do it together?
Oh, man.
Let's think about it. Let's find a time.
We're committing on air to,
in front of you, to burn our journal. Like, here's the deal. I say all that. I've kept these. I've owned very few things, and I've kept these, right? And I've been thinking about it, and I just wonder if and I haven't gone back and looked at them in years. I look occasionally. I'll feel nostalgic. I'll see a photo or something. I go back and look. But by and large, I don't reference it because I have 3 kids. Yeah. And I have 2 companies, and I have all these projects going. Like, I just started a new project.
I don't have time for that sort of baggage.
I don't have time for going back and just looking through my journals. I'm not like, I don't have the time.
On the rare occasion that I go back and look, I have one of 2 thoughts, though. The majority of the time I go, I'm literally complaining about the same things I was complaining about 10 years ago. Or every now and then I read a paragraph and I'm like, that guy was smarter than I am now. That's genius. I've gotten stupider.
Yeah.
So in either case, I've found it to be less than helpful.
I'm going to go refill our coffees. Mm-hmm. While I'm doing that, and you're thinking about the next song you're going to do, speak to the camera and tell them if they do anything. We're not done yet. We're only halfway through or 2/3 of the way through. But if they go and find anything from Rocko Wheeler to get them hooked on you, great, music and whatever, like, tell them what to go look for.
Great. And stick around, folks. We have an enormous reveal, shocking reveal at the end of this episode that will knock your socks off. So stick around. I'm going to talk to the camera here. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's a pleasure to be here this morning in an old shed with my friend Nicholas Laparra. If you are interested in keeping up with this music, I will. You can find my music right now on Spotify. Rocko Wheeler, Rocko. A lot of these songs that I'm playing today are new, and so they'll be releasing later this year. RockoWheeler@gmail.com. Give me a shout, and I will return to the internet in about a month. So put it down in your journal and your notebook. Come back to it in a few years.
And friends,
thank you.
One of the most important things you can do for an artist, right? One of the things that I want to do is to support. One of the reasons for this show is to get you to think about supporting. There's all this talk about small businesses right now, and I'm all for it. Like, as much as we can, buy from small businesses. One of the things you can do for artists like Rocko is go to Spotify, click that follow button, right? Because that means any new things that he does will show up when you go on Spotify the next time, right? If there's something new.
Oh, that is how that works.
That is how that works. And so go follow. There's a follow button. It's super easy. And same on other platforms as well. He's not on social media yet. He's not back on or whatever. But like on these music platforms, you can follow Rocko's music, your favorite artist's music, so that they will begin to gain traction. That's how it happens. Every artist friend that I have, I go and follow them. It helps them. It helps me. And it's so easy to do. It's so fucking easy for you to click a button and be done with it. And now you can follow along with what he's doing. So I'm speaking right to you. Make sure you do that. That's so simple, friends. Go do it right now. Like put this show on pause and go follow on Spotify or Apple Music. You can do the same thing there. I assume. I don't use Apple Music, but I assume you can do the same thing there.
Very nice. Thank you, sir.
Ready for another song?
Let's do another song.
I mean, I just want to shut up and let you play the whole time, but I also want to talk with you. Oh, the tension.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Good. I am too.
I would do this with or without the microphones rolling.
Fantastic.
All right. Here's kind of it's about dreams. Dreams you have at night. Speaking of dreams, last night seemed so real. I was trapped inside a speeding car with no driver behind the wheel. Well, the brakes, they suddenly went out, and the light was red ahead. I could not move my arms, and my legs felt like lead. And there was no way to stop. Broken bones and blood, just seconds away from a heap of pain, running out of luck. And I cried adios, my friends, and I closed my eyes shut. I grit my teeth and I braced myself, and that's when I woke up. Speaking of the moon and the mission to land, to plant the flag of freedom in that milky white moon sand. Well, we all felt like heroes, celebration, applause. It was a heck of a day for the human race and our mighty cause. But I think about the other guys, all the ships that did not sail, and the final thoughts of astronauts before they burned up and fell. And there was no way to stop the broken bones and blood, just seconds away from a heap of pain, running out of luck. And I cried adios, my friends. I closed my eyes shut. I grit my teeth and I braced myself. That's when I woke up. And speaking of love, I've been dating since 2001. I searched the internet, bars, honky-tonks, and shopping malls for that special someone. Oh, but pretty little stories go down like sweet vermouth. And a perfect thing you know perfectly well is too far from the truth. Well, I'm trying to learn from the things I could not sell. But she's slamming doors and keeping scores and wishing me to hell. And there's no way to stop broken bones and blood. I'm seconds away from a heap of pain. I'm running out of luck. And I cried, adios, my friends, and I closed my heart shut. I gripped my teeth, I braced myself, 'cause there's no way to stop broken bones and blood. I'm seconds away from a heap of pain, running out of luck. And I cried, adios, my friends, and closed my eyes shut. I gripped my teeth and I braced myself, and that's when I woke up.
I wanted to, I almost broke out in harmony with you. That is such a good tune. Where's that one from? Do you have anything to share with that one?
Let's see, that was reflecting on when I was going through a tumultuous time. I had this recurring dream. I was on this like Mississippi paddle boat, like Mark Twain style, but it was in the Amazon on a muddy river. And I was the only one on this thing, and it was headed towards a waterfall. And I was trying to get it from going over the edge. And it's like every night I had the same dream, and it was like one of those old school helms. And every night I was against this weird force. And so this song, probably wrote this one about a year and a half ago. And it's about that feeling. It's about that dream feeling where your subconscious is very in tune, even if you aren't.
Do you have recurring dreams often? Because I don't, and I wish that I did. I rarely dream at all. Probably, I mean, they say you dream anyway, but I don't remember dreaming. Once or twice, once a month, literally. Once a month I remember a dream, and I remember it for like a few seconds, then I forget it. And I wish, because there's so much, dreams are so great and important and stuff that you should be wrestling with. I think we hear and feel and sense a lot of things through dreams. And I get it through other things, but I don't get it through dreams, and I hate that.
I think our subconscious is trying to tell us things, especially if we're very busy or like maybe a little overwhelmed. And there is something to be taken from dreams. I think these kind of recurring dreams, that's only been a few seasons of life during a very punctuated period, you know?
I like the lyric in there because I think about this often, actually, about I don't know how, I forget how you said it, but about the last thought that the astronauts had before they fell.
Yeah.
Like, I think about death all the time. In a very, like, I have a good relationship with death. I'm not scared of it. And I also think that we should think about it often because thinking about death helps us live better. I think we live too frivolously. We live too irresponsibly when we don't realize the imminency of death. It could be 5 minutes from now. You could pull out of here. We have a really fucking busy, like people just fly on the street and they shouldn't. It's like 35 and sometimes people go like 50 or 60. Every time I pull out, like somebody could come over that hill and not see me, and we're in now this game of chicken. Who's going to get out of the way first, right? So it could happen 5 minutes from now or 60 years from now.
There's the way I've heard it said is death is not at the end of some long road. Death is walking beside you
all the time. Yeah. And so I always think about what people think about right before it's over. I had one of my best friends in the whole world died 6 months ago last week, and I won't get into it all, but I think all the time about what he was thinking about right before he died. He died by suicide, and a lot of hard things happened to him, and I know that he did not want to do that, and I'm glad that he's found peace finally. But I think all the time about what was he thinking about right before it all happened. Like, that's got to be, like, the craziest, the realest of everything happens right before. I have to imagine. We don't have many accounts of it because it happens, and then people are gone. But that's interesting. It's interesting to think about that, because I think it brings a sobriety to life.
Yeah, it is. It's that the cliche of, does your life flash before your eyes,
right?
Or is it as simple as the moment slipped away and consciousness ceased?
Yeah,
and it is something we need to wrestle with.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if some people are having recurring dreams, there might be some issues they haven't dealt with about death. I think that's a challenge, especially as we become more, as we get older. I think our proximity to other people who have died just gets closer and closer. And so I do think finding a healthy relationship with death so that you can live well is very important. Especially, I mean, there are, plenty of cases of children and younger people who have been around tragic or dire circumstances. But I think for most people, kind of on a typical archetype, you get into your late 20s and your 30s and so on, and you have to find that good relationship that helps you function.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. Friends, if you are hearing birds chirping, if you are hearing dogs barking, if you are hearing cars go by, I don't know what you're hearing, but you're not dreaming that up. That is happening. We are in my shed out back. This is not a proper TV studio. This is not a proper anything. We're just winging it, bro.
It's a proper conversation.
But it's proper conversation, a proper smoke, proper coffee, proper music for sure. But if you're hearing that, it's because the best lighting that I could get in my dungeon of a shed where I work is by opening the door so the light from my backyard could pour in and give us good lighting. One of the drawbacks, maybe not. Maybe it's bringing a more like a very organic feel to this, but you might hear some stuff. Don't be worried. You're not hearing things in your head. It's actually happening. My neighbor's dog is that loud and that obnoxious, and we have to deal with it because I love my neighbor.
This is just like folk music, though, isn't it? You wouldn't want it to
really
be perfect.
Is. On the porch.
You want it
birds
to be raw
chirping. Come on,
and
bro.
exposed. Mm-hmm.
I agree. Every show we've done so far, which is number 3, has had some sort of thing with it, and I like that. I'm very much about that. Before we go on to what I think might be your last song, Boo-Hoo, who influences you music-wise? Who have you really drawn inspiration from? Who is the person that maybe shows up when you're writing and says, keep writing? Like, that's good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of the usual suspects, but very much have gained companionship and inspiration from Guy Clark, John Prine, Marty Robbins, Terry Allen, just a number of pretty serious storytelling troubadours. I'm reading Bob Dylan's autobiography right now. These guys, there's something windblown about them. There's so many experiences that flow through their songs, and they explore so many different angles of life and different angles of the heart. And each one of them is able to approach these stories with both humor and tragedy. I think that's what keeps me going as a craftsman, is how do you write a song that sounds simple, tells a compelling story, has a kernel of truth in it, but makes you feel both. It can be funny, and just at the moment that you're opened up kind of chuckling at something, then they go in for the kill. And that kind of depth and complexity is what those guys are so good at.
Maya Angelou, a great artist in her own right, she was having a conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates and someone else, and I can't remember who was the third person on the stage. Forgive me. But she talked about artists in that talk. And the quote, I'm going to butcher it right now, but essentially she was saying, like, look at all of the artists that have been beaten that have been maimed, that have been killed, that have been imprisoned because of the art that they're making. And she went on to make the point that we need to protect our artists because they have a very special job to do. And that's, I guess, my problem with so much of this. One of the reasons I wanted to start this show, my problem with so much of modern music is it lacks the profundity you just talked about. Well, that talking about tragic things, that the mixing tragedy and humor, saying things that other people wouldn't dare say.
I wonder if that's a problem, not necessarily just of the industry, but of us as a culture right now.
Oh, of course it is. It's what we want. I mean, the very fact that one of our highest grossing artists in the world also has one of the most disliked music videos of all time. I'm talking about the Biebs, which I think he's probably a great person, right? He's a young kid that got thrown into this industry far too early, and he's gone through hell and back, right, to figure out who he is and all that. I'm not a Justin Bieber music fan. I'm sure I'd love to, have a good hang with him, right? But Baby, right? Like nobody's gonna look back on the song Baby featuring Luda in a bowling alley and think, wow, that's some profound shit. Like the chorus is literally baby, 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 oh, baby, baby, and people love it. People want that. By and large, the culture wants that.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know if I can speak to. Sometimes it's sneaky what some songs end up meaning to a culture, and I guess I'm not super concerned with a legacy. I'm not a legacy guy, but I am concerned with engaging people meaningfully now, and having a life that's meaningful and writing songs that are meaningful to me. And I don't know what'll happen in terms of looking back at your work, but I do. It is my hope, my standard to write music that does hit all those senses. That does open up questions and creates a world for people to walk around in. Because that's what I did with Simon and Garfunkel and Dylan. I put the headphones on and I would be transported somewhere, and it unlocked a lot of thoughts. And
I've historically been a legacy guy, talk a lot about it, especially in the work that I do, but
we could have a whole podcast.
We could. Because I had a recent conversation with a writer, an author, Joel Stein, wrote a great book that I've really enjoyed wrestling through, In Defense of Elitism. And he, at the end of every Let's Give a Damn podcast that I do, I've asked people, like, what do you want, like, if I'm giving your eulogy 50, 60 years from now, like, what do you want me to say, right? And it's all about legacy and, like, what you're leaving behind. And he goes, I don't care. He said, I don't care. I don't care about legacy. And it wasn't a flippant, like, I don't care. It was very thoughtful. And the thoughtful part was, nobody's going to remember me. Like, think about all of the tremendous people. Like, generations go by, and they keep getting, like, this is the last generation that will remember Shakespeare in the ways, because we have TikTok and we have Vine and we have all this fat, like, there will be fewer people in this generation that remember Shakespeare than ever before. And Shakespeare dedicated his life to these incredible works, right? And this is a generation, I think, where Shakespeare and other people like Shakespeare get lost. Yeah. And is that a bad thing? Like, we are one part in the hundreds of billions of people that have existed throughout history. We're one, and we should be focused more on the here and now.
Yeah.
Here and now, right now. This is the only moment that matters. Who cares if my legacy makes it beyond one generation of people? It's
just not in your control.
It's just not in our control. Exactly. And I don't control who remembers me the moment I pass on, or what I get remembered by.
We can, even in life, we get fixated on the outcome. Like, I could write, I've written a number of songs in the last couple months. If my intention was just outcome, that could stop you from doing anything, because you're like, well, but that's not why we do it. We do it for the process.
Yep.
And I don't think it's my job to drag the furniture of the past into the present. And that's not to say, I do believe that in looking back at history and being contemplative and seeing what we can learn. But in terms of, like, personal ego and legacy, it's only as helpful as the material's helpful. And what Solomon had to say in Ecclesiastes has been helpful until now, and maybe it'll continue to be helpful to people. Maybe Dylan will be relevant to people for another 50 or 100 years. I mean, who cares? But eventually Dylan's words will not be as impactful or in its form.
Sure.
The same truth will float on to another songwriter or author or whatever. Because the truth of what a lot of great art that we remember, it carries on. It visits one person,
it does,
and it transports to another. And I want to be a part of it while I'm alive.
I hear that. Rocko Wheeler?
Yes, sir.
Sing us out, man. Let's play the final tune.
Let's end on a high note.
Okay. Was this the big reveal? Were you going to reveal, or is that something totally different?
The big reveal, first of all, other than being a device to keep people listening, the big reveal is Nick Laparra is going to be my manager. He is managing my social medias. He needs another job.
That's right.
He hasn't filled his time well.
I have not. I just sit around all day trying to run 47 projects and take care of 3 kids and a lovely wife. Like, I have nothing to do.
You have nothing to do. You're a lazy guy.
Lazy.
All right. Well, here's one that I wrote during quarantine, reflecting on not knowing what's going on. It's called The Good News. I've been waiting by the phone for some good news, for someone to call my name and say, hey son, the hard times are done. Get back to the highway, get your 6-string and play. And read all about it. I got the good news. Read all about it. No more blues. Shake hands and strip down. Roll around in the grave. Oh, good Lord, give me the good news today. And I've been killing time with my own set of rules, writing my prophecy. Everyone let go of your manifesto. We're children from the garden of forgotten dreams. So read all about it. I got the good news. Read all about it. No more blues. Shake hands and strip down. Roll around in the grave. Ooh, good Lord, give me the good news today. So I survived, and that's the good news. I live to tell the tale. I'll sit at this table, tell the old dark fable, how he changed all our minds about heaven and hell. Read all about it, I got the good news. Read all about it, no more blues. Shake hands and strip down, roll around in the grave. Oh, good Lord, give me the good news today.
A wonderful note to end on. Rocko Wheeler, Aaron, just kidding. Rocko Wheeler, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, man. This was great.